And we're back. Thanks once again for joining me, Tyrant of the World, for another random podcast on things I just want to talk about. For the latest rendition, we're going to cover Death Note, the Netflix movie experience. Now, I've been looking at a lot of videos on this, and it seems as if the consensus is that this was a bad movie. Well, you know what? Let me take that back. The consensus is if you compare the Death Note movie to the the manga or the anime TV series, this was a bad movie. And I think that's as crazy as it's gonna sound, I think that's unfair. When it comes to any type of adaptation, you're gonna have a ton of changes. Some things are gonna be added, some things are gonna be take a lot actually is gonna be taken away, and this is just a prime example of this. Now, let's take Death Note out of the equation here and just talk about just universal truths here. One of the universal truths is that there has never been a good anime adaptation, period, of anything. I certainly can't think of one when it comes to making it a real life film, um, whether that be anything from not even just anime, but just cartoons or like video games, that type of stuff. So anything from a the last Airbender to a Prince of Persia. I mean, there's just never really been. Funny enough, Prince of Persia is probably the best example of this. Uh, to Assassin's Creed, which I actually liked Assassin's Creed. Um, Funny enough, but regardless, so that's pretty much what we have as the standard bearers of this when we're going in here. So because of that, again, we're talking about these expectations. I talked about this in the Defenders. Uh, I didn't go in with much hope. So the thing about Death Note here is I actually had to watch it twice, right? So I've read the manga completely. I love the series. So the first time I actually watched the film, I actually got about 30 minutes in and I had to turn it off. Uh, it's not that it was bad or anything, but it's just I wasn't expecting the amount of changes to occur because there are a ton of changes. I mean, just the first, just from how he gets the Death Note to his personality. We're talking about the main character Light here. How Light gets the Death Note to his personality, which he's not this extreme, sociopath slash genius. He's just an average, honestly, kind of petty kid here. To his family makeup. Oh, by the way, there's a ton of spoilers in this, so there you go, spoilers, spoiler crazy here. But to his family makeup, which he doesn't have a sister, he doesn't have a mom. It's just him and his dad. To versus in the manga, he had a sister and he had a mom. To I mean, just everything. We're talking. It had so many changes to the point that they even changed names. So for example, like a Mia, Misha, who's Misha in the manga is now Mia, and she's just completely different. Uh, the only two characters who well, the only character I can't even say two characters. I was gonna say L, but he undergoes changes as well when he progresses through the film. But the only person who's pretty much the exact same is Watabi, well, Watarabi or whatever. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but basically L's kind of caretaker. He's the same, but even then his time in the film is very short, and they changed kind of his experience, if you will, too. But I say that to say if you're looking to enjoy this film, you have to go in with a completely blank slate. Again, like I said, the first time I watched it, I got 30 minutes in, and I had to turn it off, and I was pissed because I was expecting it to be a lot more true to the series. But after I took some time off and just kind of regathered myself, and I came in with a blank slate, I actually it was okay. I was actually for some weird reason I was like keeping the time in terms of when it actually got interesting for me and when I couldn't kind of put it down. And you got to probably wait about 30, 40 minutes into this into the movie. That's pretty much when everything's built up. Elle and Light are kind of going at it, and that's when it's like, okay, let me see how this progresses to the end because now this is interesting. So if you can get 40 minutes in, I know that's a lot, but if you get 40 minutes in, I think you'll be okay. You'll enjoy it, and you can get through the film series. Now, is this film as good as as the TV anime or in the manga? I think that's unfair, right? I think what we have here is the case of true hardcore supporters of the Death Note, which it does have that hardcore fan base that are upset with any change that happens. And let's take Death Note out of it. Just any fan base of any manga. If you're gonna adapt it to a film, especially a film with this short of time span, and it covers a lot. It goes all the way up to, and again, spoiler, it goes up to when, I mean, it's kind of a mix here, but basically it goes up to when he gets to the hospital in the manga, but it's just way different. But I can't even say that, but it's way different. But so what you have here is a core fan base of just your regular series who just hates any type of change, and this has a tremendous change. I think, for example, like the Game of Thrones. I've read the books and then I've seen the TV series, and as the TV series progressed, I just became less and less of a fan because of the changes. But those were small changes. Like those are like incremental changes until you get to like season like 4, and then it's just like it's just nothing to do with the book almost. But the first couple seasons, it was just minor changes here and there, maybe add a character or not add a character, but take away a character because you can't have all 1,000 characters from the book, which is fine. But in Death Note, I'd say Death Note in terms of comparing it to the manga or anime, it's probably like 20% of the manga, if that. It may not even be 20% in terms of the storyline and in terms of character interaction, progression, personality, all that stuff. Like it's probably about 20. I'm being generous here. It was probably about 20%, maybe even closer to 10. So between 10 and 20%. But so that's pretty much what you got to go in understanding. But if you can get through that, you can understand it's more of the premise of what happens if a high school kid finds a Death Note and he's immature and is trying to impress people, and he's kind of psychopathic under his veil, then yeah, you'll you'll like it. Um, I guess I'll end this off with saying like kudos to Keith. I forgot his last name. The guy who plays L. He does a really good job. Again, they changed his kind of interaction with Light and whatnot, but man, he is dead on. Like I read the manga. He acts, if L was a black guy in real life, that's how he would act, for real. So he does an excellent job with that. Um, Fortunately, I can't say much for anyone else in the film. I did like Light's dad. He did a good job. I mean, he wasn't given a lot of material, but he did a good job with what he was given, which was almost nothing. That whole downtrodden dad who doesn't want to believe his son's a killer, but slowly kind of turns around. They eliminate all the rest of the other police force, so it's just Light's dad on the police force and L working together. No one else, which is amazing. Which I mean, I'm not too. Uh, if you like the characters or not, the police force or not, that's your prerogative. But in terms of central to the story, they're not really central to the story when you really think about it. So I understand that why they were left out. But yeah, Light, and then you got honest was Shimigami, which is there. He's actually does a really good job as well. Um, so that one's good. So I guess those two are good. Uh, Light. I mean, not Light. No, not Light, but L and Ryuk. So those two guys are pretty good. And then everybody else, you have to understand that these are huge changes. Mia is nothing like she is, and Misha is nothing like she is in the manga. So do not expect that at all. Nothing. 100% completely different person. So do not go in expecting her to be anything like she is in the manga. And also like completely different. So again, if you can get through that, you'll be fine, and I think you can enjoy this. So, from what I heard, the Death Note creators liked the film as well. They loved how it stayed true to what they were trying to tell in terms of the underlying themes. So they liked it, which is good. I think it was okay. In a vacuum, again, do not compare it to anything else. It's great. I mean, it's not great. It's good. It's fine. You can get through it, and it'll be a good experience. Again, just don't compare it to anything, and you're fine. So with that being said, that's kind of my take on Death Note. I don't know why I just felt like I need to get this out there. Let me know your thoughts. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? And if you want to compare it, go ahead. Maybe if I get enough comments, I'll do one comparing the two and get my thoughts on that. So thank you for listening and have a good one.